If you're jumping from flips to rentals to BRRRRs to wholesaling, you're not creating a business, you're gambling. And in the beginning, when you're becoming a real estate investor, you really want to stay hyper-focused on one strategy and go deep. My name is Stephen Husted. I'm a real estate investor of 11 years. Started in California, went out to the Midwest market for 5 years. And then after that, I ended up in Seattle doing new developments, which I'm currently working on as we speak. I'm going to be breaking down in this video why focus really matters when picking a strategy and what it could do to benefit your overall success in becoming a real estate investor. While dabbling in different strategies in the beginning might seem intriguing, it can really kill your growth. I'll give you a really good example. If you decided you're gonna buy distressed properties, rehab them, and then put tenants in place and build a real estate portfolio, and on the other side, you are gonna be doing short-term rentals as well, you are basically creating two businesses for you in one. You might think it's all in the same category and it's under real estate investing, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to learn the ins and outs of both. And at first, that's really hard to do. You really wanna just stay focused on one, just laser focus. You wanna just go deep. You wanna learn as much as you can. You wanna build out your team, your systems, and you wanna go through all the issues that you're gonna go through, because there's gonna be so many issues when you get into investing. That's just the way it goes. And I know in the beginning, you can see a lot of people online having success on so many different strategies. And at first, when you're watching people talking about these different strategies and the success they're having, you have to really understand, how long is this individual been in this strategy? Have they been doing flips for 10 years? Have they been in short-term rentals for 10 years? What is their backstory? Because what's going on in today's market is completely different than what was going on 10 years ago. And I've gone through it myself. I can tell you that in the very beginning, I was bouncing between doing flips to buy and hold to Airbnb, short-term rentals. It was just, there's so much content out there. And also the people that I followed and I was around, they had all kinds of different strategies going on. I think what really got me focused was I understood that there were so many different moving parts that it forced me to hyper-focus on only one strategy. And when I started investing out in the Midwest, we were building our portfolio quick. We were scaling quick. We were buying a lot of properties. I really didn't have that much time to throw in another strategy at that point. As time went on and I learned about financing and hiring contractors and all the different ins and outs, at that point, I felt comfortable looking into the next strategy, which was short-term rentals and mid-term rentals. At that point, I had confidence that what I was doing in the Midwest could run on its own. I had a good enough team in front of me so that I could switch gears and change my whole focus. But in the beginning, if I would have taken on both, I would have been spreading myself too thin. I would have been giving 50% of my energy on one thing and 50 on the other. The other thing with taking on too many different strategies is you end up having lack of clarity. You really want to stay hyper focused. You want to keep putting in the reps. So you have one day where you get up and let's just say you're analyzing deals, you're talking to your property manager, you're working on your taxes, watching YouTube, or you're listening to a podcast, and you're just taking in information. You're on a loop. And what that does over time, it's compounding. You're learning new things day in, day out. But the minute you kind of divert that and you start to go a different direction, now you're splitting yourself up. You're giving yourself 50% because now you got to put energy onto a new thing. So you have to really pay attention to the best way to choose your first strategy is this might sound kind of counterproductive, but you do kind of want to take in a bunch of different content to see which one really gravitates to you. You might watch content on short-term rentals and realize you know what, dealing with guests is something that I have no desire to do. So you could take that off the list. Maybe buying distressed properties, rehabbing them. You're excited about doing the rehab process, and so that piques your interest. Find that one. You'd want to make sure in the very beginning that you got the clarity. So just pick one and ignore the rest. I'll give you a little story about what happened once we switched gears and added a different strategy in the mix. Went the direction of doing short-term rentals. We had a pretty big portfolio out in the Midwest, and on any given day, we could be having issues with the short-term rental or things going on there, and then issues on the long-term rentals, whether it's, a tenant not paying or a tenant vacating the property, and then we have to get our contractors in there, and then there's issues going here. So what happens is it all compounds, and that is when you're spreading yourself too thin. It puts a lot on your plate, and you end up going through the day like a ping pong ball, bouncing between one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And even though that I thought I was confident after years of doing long-term rentals that I was ready to take on another strategy, it still required a lot of work. And I have a full team behind me. I have virtual assistants that are helping me on a day-to-day basis. I got all the connections. I understand how to build a team and how to use software. So it still took away my focus from the long-term portfolio right away. In the beginning, that could be pretty overwhelming, especially when you don't have the skill set yet to deal with it all. Because when it comes fast, it's coming fast. There's a lot of issues that will pop up, and it can really throw you off. And when you get into real estate, this is a business, but you also want to have fun. You want to make money. You want to grow your wealth. You want to learn a new skill, but you also don't want to be stressed out every single day. Sometimes maybe just having one strategy forever could be a really good option, to be honest with you. Another big thing that can happen too when you switch focus to a different strategy is you kind of lose track of what you're doing in the business that you currently have running. Let's just say you have a contact of an agent and they've been helping you find properties, and you've got this great relationship, but now you're focusing over to another strategy, like you're doing multi-units, and now you're talking to a different agent, and you're starting to go into learning about that. You're naturally gonna start to move your energy over to that next scenario. And so you're already right there losing focus. It's much better to really understand the direction you want to go within your portfolio at some point and over time. Just make sure that when that time comes, when you want to switch gears, new strategy, have that other business on autopilot. Make sure that you have everybody in place. Your teams just knows exactly what to do. If you took off for a month, that the business would just run itself. That's when you really know that you're doing really good, is when you can just step away and everybody has their roles. They know what to do. Your property manager's firing all cylinders. Your contractor, you trust your contractor. Just everything is in sync. Some of the benefits of going deep on one strategy, I would say, is you learn based on doing repetition. So the more you do something over and over and over, the better you're gonna get. It might seem boring at first, and you'll notice that repetition, but what happens is over time, you'll look back and you'll start to do things with second nature to you. You get a property in front of you from a wholesaler or an agent, and you'll know how to underwrite that deal in 1 minute. If you need to move fast on a property, you'll know who's doing what and when. You'll know that you could, contact your lender and get financing in place. You'll just have all those steps locked in. So that's one of the big key of going really deep on one strategy. One of the biggest ones for me from staying really hyper-focused in the Midwest on just buy and hold property was I would also talk to friends and family, clients about what I was doing. And I would also kind of tell them everything that I've learned, the good and the bad. And what that also did was it attracted money to me. There was people that wanted to invest with me, that wanted to partner with me. Having niched into one strategy, that had a lot of benefit, because what it did was it gave me the authority. I understood a lot about the strategy that I was going through and what I was doing. And over time, when you end up having a lot of confidence on what you're doing, it shows. People will know because you've done the repetition over and over. You've been learning day in, day out over a course of years. It's really not hard to become an expert in that particular strategy when you're putting in that kind of work. Another big one with going deep on one strategy is you end up starting to make content and you start to grow a brand, because if you start talking online and creating content about your journey, even if you're starting in the very beginning on one strategy and it's like your first video is, I'm buying my first property, and it's, oh, I bought this, but I underwrote the deal wrong, or I went through this. You're hyper niching into something and you're learning over time. You're just going to become an expert. Best way to stay focused in your strategy is to mute the noise. You know that when you get online and you start to follow other investors, that it's easy to chase shiny objects. You start to see people doing all kinds of different things. Lock in, start to follow people that are doing exactly what you want to do, and just keep learning over time, repetition. Build weekly focus rituals. That's a great way to kind of stay on top of what you're doing, is build it into your calendar. Whether it's on Monday, you're going to be analyzing 3 deals. Tuesday, you're going to be watching a podcast. Wednesday, you're going to be learning about taxes. Thursday, you're going to deep dive how to, rehab a property better. You want to set a system in place so that you can follow and repeat it. And that will help you block out all the other distractions that go on that could derail you on your success as becoming a real estate investor. Another way to stay accountable in one strategy is also to join a couple Facebook groups, maybe a mastermind, and that will get you around the same people doing the same thing as you, which will also inspire you. You'll learn a bunch of information. You'll be around like-minded people. That's a good way to stay more hyper-focused. And typically when you're picking a strategy, there's plenty of summits out there per year that you can go to that kind of get you into that community. And that will just help you understand that you know where you're investing and you got this whole network around you. That will really help you to kind of lock in. My best advice for new investors is don't try to be everywhere. Stay in the one pocket and hyper focus, and you'll do really good. And also too, don't compare year one to another investor that is 11 years in the game. You're on 2 different paths. All you want to do is learn from people and grow your business, but don't do the comparison, because that's a whole different journey in itself. Focus builds momentum, and momentum builds wealth. And mastery beats multitasking any day of the week. Don't try to be the real estate investor that does it all. Get laser focused, deep dive, grow your business, grow your knowledge, grow your wealth, and you definitely will succeed. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.